You want to make an opening statement and then talk a little bit about South Dakota State?
Yeah. Same thing. South Dakota State is a really good football team. We get another opportunity at home to go out there and compete against a really good team, top 5 team in the country, with maybe the past 4 years really collectively as a career, maybe one of the best offensive players that I've personally seen in this league and in the country. And Christian, unbelievable players. Definitely the key to stopping them is, which has been tough for a lot of people to do. He's an unbelievable player. He's had a heck of a career. I know it's winding down here with their, he'll go into the playoffs, but he's a heck of a player, and they've got a good team around him. I think that they've built a winning tradition, and they expect to win, and they play like that. A good, solid defense that plays hard, that's rarely out of position. And then, like I said, on offense, our work's cut out for us as far as a lot of the stuff that they do around him. He'll make you pay with his feet and scrambling around, and he's an accurate thrower inside the pocket, and they do a good job of running the football. So, it's a tough task, and we're looking forward to getting back out there and being ready to play on Saturday.
Is he the best quarterback you've ever seen run the RPO? He'll have plays where he'll look like he's running and he's looking downfield, and touchdown pass against Illinois State I saw. He looked like he was going to run.
Yeah, that one that you talked, the third play of the game there at Illinois State, that's a design pass play where he scrambles and he keeps his eyes downfield. He's probably the best I've seen at not taking hits. He slides a lot, which is smart. He's went through his entire career with not really missing any games. I don't think he's ever missed a game. He's smart about when to run, when to pick up the yards and get out of bounds, when to slide. He's really good in the RPO game. They give him a lot of options, and then they've continually been able to run the football, and a lot of that is to do because of his success outside the pocket. And eventually, you give up a crease or two, and they've got capable backs of doing a good job. And they've had a lot of weapons. Obviously, they're still winning with 2 guys that are playing in the NFL and losing them because he makes the people around him better. But yeah, he does a lot of things good. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks that maybe he's ever played in this conference, and so he does not just one thing good; he does a lot of it good.
So is he the best one in the league then right now?
Yeah, I would say that he's the best quarterback. I mean, proven. I mean, the week after that we'll play stick. We haven't played stick since he was a few years ago here when he was filling in for Carson Wentz. So, the name of the game is winning, and stick has done that. And so is Christian, but as far as winning a national championship. But, I've seen Christian up close, and he does he's just a steady player. He can do a lot of things good, and he's just a leader, and he never gets too high or too low. And so, yeah, obviously, all the records that he's broken this year and for his career, he's had a heck of a career.
These close losses, not just this year, but previous years, even before you were the head coach, what percentage would you say Southern got beat, and what percentage would you say Southern's mistakes costed the game, and thus?
I don't know if that's a percentage. Just sitting up here and saying, what percentage. I couldn't give you a good answer based on a percentage. I mean, each game is, you have to go by, it's game by game. And you look at it on. I mean, I would say in every single one of them, there's plays. Anytime it comes down to a one possession game, you're going to look at that game and say you could have done something differently to change the outcome of the game, whether it's not turning it over, making plays that are there to be made, or when you're in a conference that you play against really good teams, they make some plays with good players. So I would have to say that you have to go back and watch each individual game to give you a good answer on that.
Defensive back is one of the most difficult positions, but when you look at the film, do you feel like your guys have to do a better job of looking back to play the football?
Yeah, I think that, especially those couple down the stretch, we've been called on several this year that are really uncatchable balls, but you have to have the technique to get your eyes back and play the ball. That's probably the toughest one, and we've had a lot of them this season where it's one-on-one, and it's man-to-man coverage, and the ball's thrown short. The receiver's going to come back and fight for the ball. Obviously, he's got to go through you to get back to the ball, but if you've got to be able to get your head around and have great technique to try to not get that call. That's why as a offensive player, you see so much back shoulder, or you go deep and you throw it short. 2 out of the 3 things are usually you can come back and catch the ball, which you saw Ralph do down the sideline in one of ours, and then you're going to get pass interference or it's going to be incomplete. So when you see him in man coverage, 2 out of the 3 things are usually pretty good.
What does your secondary have to do to stop Cade Johnson? I think he's got 11 touchdowns.
It starts with the quarterback, obviously. And all the receivers that we go against, they bring a different, challenge to what you got to do. But he's not a big guy, similar to some of the receivers we've seen, Illinois State's guys and things like that. So if you're caught in man coverage and a lot of his plays, like Todd was talking about, come on, run pass option stuff where you're trying to stop the run, and then the quarterback does a good job of getting them the ball. So I think the key, number one, is to affect the quarterback to have a chance of stopping them, yeah.
Senior day, how good has your leadership been from that class this year? I know you have a lot of good juniors, too.
Yeah. Senior day is always a special day that when you come here and you commit to playing college football, their life isn't easy. It's not the normal student's lifestyle. There's a lot of demands that are put on them, and I know as a coach and as an alumni and stuff, you want to show them how much you appreciate their effort. And these guys, there's a lot of them that have put in a lot of hard work and leadership. I think we have 6 of them that are graduated right now. And then I think we because I was talking the other day just about some stuff after the season, and then I think another 5 of them graduate here in December. So these are guys that are getting their degrees and have come here and done it the right way, and so their leadership has been good. Obviously, we'd like to have a different record for their senior year, but we got an opportunity to go out there and win one on their last home game. And like I've talked to them numerous times here down the stretch, is really, and I've talked about the character and how we go about things, and there's really only one way to do things. That's the right way, and their attitude and their commitment and how they practice these last 6 or 7 practices they got is really the test of who they are and how they'll be remembered down the stretch. But there's a lot of good guys in that group.
How does Rose Boom affect the game plan at all? Number 2 on the defense.
He's a really good player. He reminds me, he's really just a taller Cody Kreider. Plays hard, athletic. Just does a really good job of slipping blocks and making tackles, even when you got him numbered up to get him. Just plays the game the right way. Hair on fire, physical. Plays with a lot of emotion and passion, and runs around and makes a lot of plays. So, your game plan doesn't really change as far as, he plays linebacker, and we got to go and we've got to use great technique and block him up and have a good plan, but it won't be a thing where you specifically, run away or whatever. They do a good job. He's right there in the middle and flies around to the football, but he's a good player.
Keeping myself out of trouble yesterday. There's a load of stats online that Tom Weber people have trying to figure out your season.
Yeah.
You've run 77 more plays than your opposition. You've had 19 more first downs than they have. I'm sure this is stuff you probably already know.
Yeah.
But yards per rush, yards per catch, kickoff return, punt return averages are all lower than your opposition. What does that say? Your third down percentage is superior to your opposition. Your time of possession beats the opposition.
Yeah, I mean,
Except for fourth quarter scoring, you're even.
yeah.
You're
Well, I
down
mean,
by
we're
like 50 in the fourth quarter.
right now we're 2-7, and we've got really 5 games that. But we haven't got it done. I mean, the stats are stats. So you can look back. I mean, each game is different. Conference season different than your preseason. So many stats it's game by game. And we haven't done things in 5 games to change that, whatever it is, to get those wins. And so I mean, we've done a lot of good things. Those things that you've talked about. I thought for a lot of the game, our defense played well. Really, in all those games that we've talked about, these last 3 games, starting with Indiana State, and now we've given up some drives. We gave up some. We've got to find a way to close out that game, defensively, offensively. I felt like special teams wise probably played their part in. The punt game and playing good, but both sides of the football could have closed that game out, last week. But we'll look, stats. You'll go back and review things in the off season on things, obviously, that you got to try to get better at. But yeah, I mean, there's we're in the game and have the lead against a lot of good football teams. So you're doing some good things right, but not enough to win. So that's on us to continue to find what that is.
Their defense, Jordan Brown's a really good player, but
Yeah.
the first thing you notice, their leading tackler only has 49 stops. They have like 5 or 6 guys that have between 30 and 40. Are they just really solid?
Yeah.
From 1 to 11?
No, yeah, I think you got them. I mean, when you look at them, I mean, they're not the biggest team that we've played up front. They play hard, kind of like what I talked about. Just a team that's well coached, that's in the right spots, that has the right mentality, how to be a good defense. I think Brown's probably, if not the best, one of the best corners in our league. Probably has a chance to play at the next level. Probably the best corner that we've seen. He's a really good player, and then everybody, we talked about too, and just a good football team, that plays the right way and makes you work. Some zone coverages, and you get in third down, they're going to get in some man-to-man, but just a good team defense that everybody plays their part.
Sometimes you'll have somebody walk early because of injury. Maybe not coming back next year. Is there anybody this year that you don't expect to come back because of injury? That's like a junior or a sophomore.
Not because of injury. We'll probably have a few guys that are redshirt juniors that'll. I don't know about going out there. Not that we've discussed as far as walking during senior day. But you always have those guys that have graduated and might not be starting players that are getting their degree, and we'll do all that, talking after the season. But because of injury, really the only person that would be in that is, Kreider will be graduating in May and is on his 3rd surgery. But we've talked a lot with Cody. He's going to attack the rehab, and we'll talk in the springtime about where he's at, as far as how he feels like his body is and where we want to go with that. So, but we don't have anybody that's going to walk on senior day that's an underclassman.
You used the phrase earlier, give up a crease or two with respect to running back somewhere along the line. I'd like to be taught when you put 2 wides on one side and 2 wides on another, it seems like that also opens up the running game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, when you spread teams out, I mean, you still are. Defense is about gaps, you know, and there's so many gaps, and you got to have a guy responsible for every gap. And whenever I say a crease, it's why people use motions or try to use some type of deception to get you out of that gap. And then whenever there's a gap unfilled, that's a crease that you got to make them pay, and that's when you see big plays happen. Or in the run game, you've got the gap filled, and you physically break the tackle, yards after contact. You know, you're there, you're in position, the scheme's right, and your player's better than their player, and it's a big play. But that's why when I say they do a good job, a lot of pre-snap motions. The quarterback's such a threat. You know, fly motion this way, run back this way. Linebacker's out of his gap because he over pursues a little bit with the motion, and then they come back, and then linebacker's out of his gap and they hit a big run. That's what I mean by they get you out of position and you hit a crease. So they're 100% in the shotgun. They're a shotgun team that'll spread the field, but still obviously their tradition with tight ends, and they've got a couple good ones again this year. So they'll be in 11, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, multiple formations, and they just do a really good job on offense of just being sound. No really, trick them. They stick to what they do, and they've had to grind out some games. The Illinois State game, it was a grind for a while, and then their defense, Illinois State turned it over twice in a row, down in their territory, fumbled a snap, fumbled, backed up, got the ball at like the 6. They scored back-to-back times, and then the game was kind of out of reach from then on, and then they just kind of, grinded it out, and then had the big play at the very beginning of the game. So it's kind of like the rest of these games have been. I said the same thing last week whenever I said Western was going to be good. They've grinded out some wins. They stick with it. It's tough sledding for a while, and then it's who doesn't beat themselves, and then who down the stretch makes some plays to go win the game.
If I could ask one more X's and O question, the play that beat you, that SEMO ran, if your quarterback and the tight end is on the right, he runs a little, and then he goes under this way. Every NFL team does it. Why is that so hard to cover?
So what? Say it again. What was it?
The tight end is on the right. He blocks a little bit, runs a couple of steps, and then he goes this way.
Oh, you mean at the very last play?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
the Y hide.
Why is that so hard to cover?
Another one. I mean, you get your eyes out. If you're in man-to-man coverage, which we were. I mean, thinking back to SEMO, we've hit a couple. Even I think we hit it against Ole Miss early in the game. The tight end blocks for a little bit. You roll out. You get the guy that thinks he's blocking now is going to over pursue, and then you slip him back. We've been running that play for 100 years of football, and it still works. I mean, Indiana State won in the triple overtime on the same play. Know it's coming. You're a 22-year-old kid trying to make a play, and you get your eyes in the wrong spot, and your guy goes that way, and you got him out leveraged. It's just football is a pretty, on paper, pretty simple game. That's what I mean. Nobody's running new plays. Nobody's running new scheme. It's about timing. It's about setting things up, and they did a good job of running a play similar that looks like that is off of that, and then slip a guy out. That's what happened on that.
What have you liked about Griffin Sarah's focus?
Yeah, I think that he's just gradually gotten better. I've said that all along. One of the best things that we've done this year is went to on Sundays having a developmental practice. We've talked about that in here a couple times, but just really giving us and we're not out there long. After the veteran guys get off the field, guys that didn't get many reps in the game or our red shirts, a chance with pads on to go out there and get about 20 to 25 team reps in. And then we've dressed Griffin in those situations all season and given him some live reps with everybody right there. And then the last month we've dressed all the specialists, long snapper, our starting holder, just to give him real timing in that. And he's really come along. We've talked about at the beginning. I think he got here, and just his personality and who he is. It took him some adjusting, but he stuck with it, and he's been doing a really good job in the weight room, and Meade's got nothing but good things to say about him. Saturday morning workouts, you've just seen him grow. And then he's performed on the field, just kept getting better and better and better. And, you know, that was a big kick on Saturday, you know, 42-yarder, and had plenty of room to spare. And, you know, you feel good with him. I've said that he's a talented kid that's going to be a good one around here.
Do you guys know how far he can kick it back from?
Yeah, I mean, he kicked a 56-yarder in the developmental. Now that's without a, you know, full speed rush, and you know, anytime you get that far back, that's anybody in the NFL or whatever. Now those guys get it up pretty good, but you know, you worry about it getting blocked. You know, it crossed my mind it would have been a 54-yarder when we punted it. I mean, with the little bit of a win we had on Saturday, he could make that. Now the percentages of making it, and before the half, and you give him some good field position. But he can stretch it to probably right in there right now, especially with the wind behind him. He's definitely got that leg strength, which is big for us, knowing that you can, especially at the end of the game. But obviously we punted it and pinned him and ended up scoring, which was good. But he could probably stretch it to right in there right now, a little over 50.
You know, you're in a week-to-week business. You're concentrated on this game, then the next game. But if you evaluate, do you see a lot of your program in South Dakota State? I mean, the way they have a beautiful stadium, just like you. They're kind of on the outskirts of a major city like you are. They've developed a lot of their players. They don't get a lot of 4-star players, 3-star players.
Yeah, I mean, right now they've won, you know, and they've developed. I know Coach Stiegelmeier, I have a ton of respect for him, the way that he goes about it. They've done a good job of, number one, I think what turned their program was Tyron Christian, you know, which is a South Dakota kid. You know, he was a kid that had opportunities to go play FBS football, and he went to South Dakota State, and he's been a difference maker. And then you know, they had the back before that's still playing in the NFL. So yeah, and so they've which were homegrown kids, you know, that stayed home and been two, you know, Hall of Famers probably in our conference. And so they've had that, and then they've just the way that they play around them, well coached, good staff. They've done a good job out of state. You know, their best receiver is from Florida, from Orlando, a kid that I knew, you know, 4 years ago coming out. Their best DNs from Florida. They've dabbled and went out of state and got some kids, you know, Browns from Arizona, from Scottsdale. And so they've went out and, you know, got some key pieces out of state and got them to come up there and in the cold. But, yeah, they got unbelievable facilities, and then they do it the right way with a good coaching staff.
Okay, is there anything else?